Hey friends, glad to be back today. And I really like to talk about folks who are living their true life. You know, that's my motto, right? And when I think about living your true life, I think about doing the things you want to do, putting yourself out there, getting out of the comfort zones, and doing the things that sometimes, well, kind of scares us to even think about. And so I love to interview folks who have actually done it. Joining me in studio, Bobby White. Bobby actually is also on YouTube, and he has a channel called Sailing Doodles. And we just recently met, and his story, I think, is definitely the lines of living your true life. Bobby, so great to have you in studio today.
Thank you, Ashley. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's great to have you in the studio and to talk about this. So you didn't always sail. You weren't always doing this YouTube going all around the world. Tell me a little bit about your backstory.
Well, I was a commercial pilot. I flew private jets mostly, and then I woke up one morning with about the worst headache you could possibly have. And it was a hemorrhagic stroke, and so anyway, I was in the hospital for a while. I fully recovered, thankfully. I'm pretty lucky, but when that happens, the FAA doesn't really let you fly anymore, and so it was time for a lifestyle change.
Wow, that's an immediate lifestyle change.
Yeah, pretty much. I tried selling real estate actually for about 6 months, but that was because my mother did that and she was very successful at it, so it kind of had a foot in the door. But I hated it. I mean, it was the most stressful job I ever had, and it was just, never any time off. You're always, you're answering the phone at 10 o'clock at night. And then I was like, you know what? I've always dreamed about sailing around the world, so there's no excuse not to do it now. Nothing stopped me.
Wow. That's really neat, though. I mean, you were kind of pushed into it, but was this a dream from a long time ago to sail around the world? Was this a middle school or high school dream, or where did that start?
I think it really picked. I started thinking into it in high school. Actually, I read a book or two about it, and it was pretty interesting. And then at the end of college, right after graduation, being a pilot, there weren't too many jobs in the early 2000s. I thought more about it, and then I got a job offer that I couldn't refuse. And it just kind of stayed on the back burner. It was like one of those things that I would like to do one day, retire early. Let's plan on it actually happening. But, in the back of your mind, you're always like, am I actually going to do it? Because life gets in the way. You get a mortgage, you get a car, and then you're not saving as much as you would like to retire early. And then, when you retire at 65 or 70, you're still pretty young these days, but do you really want to go sailing around the world at that age,
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. It is a lot of work. People think that's the thing on the show is that people like, oh man, it's so easy. I'm like, no, it's actually quite a lot of work. But it's just we show you the good parts. We don't always show you the bad parts. So.
I've been sailing, and I'll tell you, I haven't captained a boat, and we've always had somebody there to captain. But there were some times, where it's raining for like 20 hours straight, and everybody's in rain gear,
right?
And the boat's going back and forth, and stuff's, like the drawers are opening and closing, and you're hoping you get there okay.
Right.
I mean, like it can be kind of hectic and stressful.
It definitely can. There's been times when There's never been any moments where I'm like, oh man, are we going to make it? It's just, man, I hope this doesn't get any worse because this is not any fun. You're in 20-foot seas and 30, 40 knot winds and the boat will handle it. And generally speaking, when it comes to situations like that out on the water, as long as you have a good solid boat, it's not a piece of crap that you haven't maintained. As long as you maintain it and you have a good solid boat, you'll break before the boat will. Because boats are designed to handle that kind of stuff. Especially, there's different types of boats. I don't want to get on the whole debate on monohull versus catamaran, but I mean, boats are designed to take a beating and then keep on going.
True. And so normally the human's going to break at some point, either sick
right.
or had enough of it, or sick and tired of it, or
right.
something, or an ailment.
Right.
It's interesting. I have gone sailing with people, and it's like you're either with a group of people that everybody's doing good, or you're with a group of people that everybody's not feeling very good.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the thing is that, there are situations when you have to go out on deck to make an adjustment to the sails, and people that, are maybe kind of giving up or something like that, they wouldn't go do it, and that's when you get in trouble. You got to make yourself do what's got to be done. No excuses.
That's amazing. So let me ask you, so when you first decided, okay, I'm going to do this, did you sell off everything, or what was the protocol to get out there and to get into this boat?
Yeah, actually, I haven't watched it in a long time, but some people, they'll watch one or two of my videos, and I think we've got almost 300 of them now.
Wow.
And they'll go back and watch like the first 2 or 3 episodes where I'm still in my apartment but you can see each video there's less and less furniture, and then it's just me and my dogs and a chair on the last one or something like that. And I forgot to mention that I brought the dogs with me for the first year and a half too, so that was kind of interesting. But I just started selling off everything. I just one day I decided I was going to do it. No excuses. I set a date, and that's kind of been my motto: is set a date and make it happen. There'll always be an excuse not to do something. Maybe you won't have the boat ready, or you won't have enough money, or something like that. There's always an excuse not to go. Just set a date and make it happen. I didn't quite stick to the date, but I was within 3 or 4 days of that date. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think the fear factor sets in for a lot of folks, and the comfort zone, even though our comfort zone can be very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And we've lived in it for so long, but that can really scare you when you're trying to break that cycle and do something for yourself. Did you feel those nerves, or did you feel that fear, or did you have to just like push right through it? What did you do to get through that?
Absolutely. I was nervous, and I think my unique situation of my career was done. And it wasn't anything I could do, not immediately. I mean, I could reapply for ratings and stuff now, but I'm happy with doing what I'm doing. But there's been, I would never have done it had I just been like, okay, I'm going to leave my old job and I'm going to go do this. I'm going to quit and not. I'm going to, I was making good money, and I had a great lifestyle and all that. It would have been very hard to leave that, but when it was taken from me, it made it easier to like, okay, well, what's stopping me from, I'm selling real estate, which I hate, and I'm not happy with it, and I've always dreamed about doing this. What's the worst that happened? I go out and I fail. You know what? I sell the boat and then go find something else to do. That was my thought process. What's the worst that could happen? That's it. Yeah. And so then I set a date, and it was November, I'm not sure what day we actually left, of 2016. And we went out of the bay. It was just the perfect weather window, the perfect conditions, full moon, and so we left out of Galveston or Houston and sailed directly across the Gulf of Mexico to the Dry Tortugas, or the Florida Keys, basically. And it took us 6 days to get there, and that was our first real sail, was 6 days across the ocean. So
6 days, you, Megan, and the 2 dogs.
Yeah, so I have two Labradoodles named Maverick and Goose.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and
Obviously, you're a Top Gun fan.
Yeah, well, being a pilot, I kind of have to do that. So we loaded up the dogs, and it took it took some adjustments for them. Made some special provisioning on the boat for them getting out of the boat and such. And they adjusted pretty well. It took the first couple of days, they didn't care for it too much, but they just wanted to be with me, so that's all they really cared about. And then worked our way through the Keys into the Bahamas and down into the Caribbean, and then it was some great adventures doing all that. Got in a couple storms, but nothing too bad. And then someone offered me to deliver a boat from St. Martin down in the Caribbean back to Florida. And so I had my boat parked in Puerto Rico, and then Hurricane Maria came through and destroyed it.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Put a big hole in the side and knocked the mast over. And so, it wasn't worth fixing. Mm-hmm. So at that point, I gave it away, actually, and there's somebody still living on it and down there in Puerto Rico right now. And then luck, happenstance, whatever, I got hooked up with a guy that lived in Thailand that needed to get a boat from Canada to Thailand. Okay. And so I said, sure, I'll do it. And we had a year to do it, and we delivered the boat all the way to Thailand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got to ask a question. I'm a dog lover,
uh-huh.
And you know how you think about the concept of having a dog on a boat.
Yeah.
Did you have the AstroTurf thing over there on the side so they can pee right there, or how did you do that?
Yeah, I had a AstroTurf thing that we used at first, and we'd put it on the bow of the boat, and we would obviously, especially when we were underway, we would go up there with them on a leash, mm-hmm. And walk them up there, and they eventually learned to use it. And eventually, one night, I think the AstroTurf got washed over, and they still just knew that spot was where to go.
Oh, okay.
They didn't like it at first. It was an adjustment, and they would wait as long as they could. So, but most of the time, our first sail was 6 days, and we have done some very long sails. But when you're cruising in the Caribbean or the Bahamas or something like that, your average sail is like 6-8 hours. And so, you can always go ashore.
Oh, okay.
And so people have the misconception that when you're sailing, it's like, I don't know how you can be on the ocean all the time. Like, well, you're not. You're either at anchor or in a marina most of the time.
Right.
We were at anchor because we couldn't afford a marina. But, so I'd take the dogs ashore. Every time we went ashore, they went everywhere with us.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, what a life. That's a great life for the dogs,
Yeah,
too.
they've been all over, so, yeah.
So let me ask you, if there's anybody out there that's watching this video that's like, hey, I'm at that time, I've been working my butt off, I've been paying my dues, I do want to try this. What are some of the things that you think they need to know to kind of get their head wrapped around actually making this a reality?
Planning is great. But really, kind of my motto going back to it is set a date and make it happen. There'll always be an excuse to not do it. Put it down on paper, write it down, put it on the refrigerator, say this is the date we're going to do this, and start working towards that. Because if you don't actually have something written down where you're actually working towards it, you'll never really, I don't know, you always kind of dream about it. It's like, oh, I want to do that one day. But when you see it every day on the refrigerator going, November 12th, we're heading across the Gulf of Mexico, we're taking off, then you start making preparations for that. And people are scared to leave. I hate to quote Fight Club, but the things you own end up owning you. You have a car payment, you have a mortgage, you have all that stuff. And so if you're paying off $3,000 or $4,000 a month on some kind of credit, then you have to keep working to do that. So if you can kind of whittle that stuff down to where you're not living on much credit, and then at the end of the time you're ready to go, set the date, make it happen, sell the house, do whatever you got to do.
Let me ask you, a lot of folks out there too are probably saying, hey, he had someone that was a friend that was willing to go with them. What about the folks that don't have anybody to go with them? Any piece of advice for that? Because that can be really scary, and it can almost keep you from doing it because you're thinking, am I going to do this on my own? Am I going to be on my own? What would you have done? Could you have done this on your own?
I was planning to do that.
Okay.
Megan, when she came with me, was pretty much a late addition, honestly. She maybe agreed to go a week before we left.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was just perfect timing. She was just recovering from a broken arm, so she wasn't working, and her lease was up, her car payments were up. Other things, no credit holding her down. She said, yeah, let's go. So she went. So.
And it helps to have somebody there, a companion of some sort to be there.
Right.
I think is very helpful. But I know some people are going to have to do this on their own.
Right. Yeah. No. So I have my girlfriend Laura with me now. We actually met when we were down in the Caribbean. When I was down there, she was down there, and so we met in St. Thomas, and we kept in touch. And I was like, hey, I'm taking this boat from Canada to Thailand. Do you want to go? And she's like, absolutely. So she came with. But I was going to do it on my own. But that's the thing is that. I ended up meeting her down in the Caribbean. Hopefully meet somebody along the way. Keep your options open. Just stay social as much as you can on that. It is kind of being on a boat. You do see some crusty old characters out there that have definitely been on by themselves on the ocean for a long time and are a bit off. Hopefully you don't get to that point. But I think a lot of that is not being out there alone. I think that's probably their personality to begin with.
And maybe being out there on the water, being separate is really what they like because of their personality.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They kind of like their own alone. They have their, they're set in their ways. They have, they have their routines. They have the things they like to do. And if somebody else came on the boat, that'd be disrupting their routine. And people, I see it. I wouldn't want to live that lifestyle. It's, human beings are social people, and I like to have my alone space, but that would get pretty old after a while.
Day after day.
Yeah. So
let me ask you. I know some people are probably interested too. What do y'all do to really subsidize your life and your career? Because I know obviously you're here on YouTube, which is amazing. Love your channel. I subscribed.
I subscribe to yours too.
Yay.
Thank you.
So tell me more. Like, how do you make it happen? I know y'all create all this content, and obviously this. Is there other things that you do? Do you do tours or packages or anything like that to get people involved, or how does that work?
Right. We do. We have in the past, and we still do somewhat now. So we would basically not sell, but kind of like Airbnb a cabin out as we went. And so we would have viewers. Obviously, almost all of them were viewers or patrons. So we have patrons that do that too, which is kind of like a voluntary subscription.
Cool.
And so we have about 700 patrons, so that helps. Plus, then there's the ad revenue from YouTube itself, and then of course we brought the the viewers on board, and they would pay a daily rate, and that included room and board and everything. And
that's kind of cool though, and then they got to be in the videos too.
Right,
oh,
absolutely.
That's cool.
Yeah, we had a couple people that stayed with us for a few months, and they really enjoyed it.
Wow.
Yeah, and we definitely needed their help, especially at that point, because crossing the Pacific, we had one guy, Thad, with us. That his name is Thad, and he spent almost 2 months with us, maybe, and we really couldn't have done it without him because we needed the extra hand. So it was nice having him on board.
He came to the rescue to help out.
Yeah.
So lasting thoughts, because I know a lot of you out there, you really want to do something, you really want to push yourself. There's a little bit of fear. Obviously, there's leaving the security of our life. Lasting thoughts for folks that are kind of in that they're ready for that change, but they just don't know how to really motivate themselves to get there.
Right. I'd say, okay, my old job as a pilot, I worked for a very good company, a family. I had a very good schedule, very good pay. It was I was, at the top of my career doing that, and I thought I could never leave this. Well, when it was taken from me, I did find a better job, and I'm doing it now. I was always afraid, I can't leave this job. I'll never get a better job. Well, now I have a better job, and it's been a better job. Okay, money is not everything. I may be making less money, but you know what? I'm a lot happier than I was because I'm my own boss, basically. And so there will always be somebody willing to pay you to earn them money. That's what a job is. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're working for yourself and you're on your own company, you're working for yourself. You're earning yourself income. I mean, basically, a job is earning somebody else money, and they give you a small portion of it. And so you can get a better job out there if that's what you're worried about. That you can't find a better job. Just take a risk, and you might be happy. I mean, it's nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? I mean,
it's worked for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been lucky in a lot of ways, for sure. I mean, but it's also a lot of hard work. I mean, people watch the videos and they're like, "Man, you guys got it easy. All you do is sail around, and throw up some videos." I'm like, "No, you don't see." I mean, it's still a 40-hour-a-week plus job, but it's a very satisfying job doing it for yourself.
Satisfying. I love that. I'm so glad you came on, and I definitely want to check it out. I want to eventually get on a boat with y'all at some point.
Come on. Hey, open invitation. If you ever get your schedule clear, come on and join with us.
Yeah, we'll see about that, hopefully, but maybe here in the near future before too long.
Okay.
So glad to have you, and amazing stuff here. Bobby's living his true life, and that's what I think is awesome. And when I talk about true versus best, true is like living your life unadulterated, unencumbered, letting go of the limitations and the things that are holding us back, the things that scare us, the thing that's fear factor, and the guilt. It's all about letting go of the things that no longer serve us and actually finding our true self. Bobby, amazing work. I can't wait to keep following your channel. And for all y'all that have been watching this, you can live the dream that you want. And you can be successful in that level, and you can go out of that comfort zone. And in the meantime, hopefully you like this video, share it with your friends and family. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do. And don't forget to live your true life.